Good morning, my wonderful friends. Magus with you. I want to start this message today by saying I love you, I love you, I love you. I just wake up so blessed every day knowing I'm going to spend this time with you in the comments and getting to know you guys better. I'm just thankful for this season in my life and to share it with you. And as we kind of touched on yesterday, that we are spending this time and space together. It's not a coincidence. It's by design. And I'm so grateful. I want to talk about my passion, Magi Magic. I love Magi Magic because it has changed my life. The teachings of Zarathustra, the understanding of Ahura Mazda, the all-good spirit, Jesus, the Christ mind coming into alignment with our good. It has changed my life, and I love sharing it with my wonderful friends, and I love hearing back from you guys how it's changing your life and your homes. And I want to talk today about words are spells. We must, of course, understand the meaning behind the words to use them correctly, which we'll get into. But the dark system that has put itself in control falsely in this earth has designed our language to keep us out of our power. I notice even in some of my own messages and talks, sometimes I'll use the word death or fighting and different things because I can't think of another word to use. We need to come up with an expanded vocabulary, and I'm going to start working on that myself more to make sure I'm speaking right to you guys. They want to drill in your mind that you cannot get away from two things. At least it's this way in America, and I'd love to hear from you guys from other countries. Tell me if you have the same saying, but they teach us there's two things you can't get away from: death and taxes. And they drill that into everybody. Everybody knows that saying here in America, but that is not true. Jesus lived a perfect life and conquered death so that we can follow. And in truth, you don't have to pay taxes. Okay, so but they put these things into our minds, and they also limit our vocabulary so that we cannot speak power and truth and create that in our world, because then that makes us not slaves anymore. And as we talked about before, what's the best way to control the opposition? It's to run the opposition. And that's what they've done in the governments, in our churches. Think about our churches and the world religions. You don't see a lot of God in their teachings, in their lives, in their buildings. Okay, as we know, God and good are the exact same thing. There's not a lot of good good in the churches today. In the stories, as I've studied Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, in the stories there are bad things that they give credit to God for, such as warring and killing and hating and horrible stories, but they credit God for that. And I'm going to tell you why they do that. The dark system can't just come out and call good bad and bad good, because we have that divine spark. We would know. Okay, like I've said before, it takes about 2 minutes in slavery to realize you want freedom. Okay, it's inside of us innately. So they have to confuse it. They have to mix it. They have to mix the good with the bad. They have to make it where you don't know what's up or down or what's going on because it's so confusing, and you have to come to them, and you have to override your own senses, your own moral compass. They teach you that, like I talked about when I went in the army. They teach you to override your moral compass, not to kill another person, and one shot, one kill, because they say the majority of people in the military, when they get in a war situation, they won't actually aim at the enemy. They'll try to miss. They'll be shooting, but they'll be trying to miss, and they want to override that, or else they can't control you if they can't control your mind and your words. Our birthright is to live in our good, in our God, to be happy, to be joyful, to be at peace. Why then do we give up our birthright? And again, this is another design by the dark system. What do most people give up their birthright for? Sex, and I think the biggest one I see, alcohol, drugs. They'll give you something to try to satiate that desire that's in us innately to live in our good, to feel good. We're supposed to feel good, but they give us a false sense of pleasure with alcohol, where it'll make you have this sense of pleasure and then you feel awful. That's why they call it spirits. It's an evil spirit, okay? Perversion and sex. Many people will be appeased just by that. If they can keep you in porn and illicit sex, and then you will give up your birthright of actually living in unconditional love and feeling good and peace all the time. So we have to wake up. We have to shake ourselves awake. And that's something I wanted to use instead of fighting. I think a lot of my videos I get wound up on saying we got to fight, fight, fight. Okay, but as we know, if you're fighting something, what we resist persists. Okay, we don't need to fight anything. We just need to be who and what we are. Like I said, when we're light, the darkness can't come in. When we're freedom and powerful, bondage can't come in. When we're vibrating, health and sickness and disease dies when it touches us. It's not a fight. It's like walking in a dark room, flipping on the light switch, and the light fills the room and the darkness is gone. No big fight. So I'm going to change a word now. Instead of fighting, I want you to shake yourself awake. Think about, have you ever had a nightmare and someone's coming for you and you start to realize it's a dream and you're thinking, I gotta wake up, I gotta wake up. You gotta shake yourself awake. That's what I'm asking you to do. Instead of using the word fight, I'm going to ask you to shake yourself awake right now. I want you to shake yourself awake and realize that you've been lied to by governments, by churches, and even by your own parents that didn't mean to, but that's what they were taught. Okay? God is all good. And this is the most important message of Magi Magic. To work in Magi Magic and miracles, you have to have this one fundamental truth, that God is all good. And when you realize this, your life will change. Fear will come out of you. Hate will come out of you. Through the world religions, you don't even realize you have accepted the evil spirit into your heart. It's like the opposite of being born again or awakened or enlightened. Because what do they teach you? Fear. Fear is an attribute of the evil spirit. You just took a spirit of the of evil into you. You just received fear into your life. How about hate and judgment? The stories of going in and killing men, women, and children. You've just taken in a spirit of hate and judgment inside of you. You must make a complete separation between good and evil, from love and hate, peace and war. What did Jesus always teach? When they said, Moses said an eye for an eye, Jesus said, love your neighbor. You know, you got to take the highest idea, and every day you will have times in your life to make that decision. The people will do things that could upset you. I know, I understand. Something that might seem silly to people. I live here in my Asha, and it's like almost like a Snow White movie. I've got 2 ladybugs that live in my plants above my sink, and that morning sun comes on them and I spend time talking to them. I got a spider that lives in my bathroom, and I've got deer. I got 4 deer that have just become my loves, my pets, and they come every day and I see them, and it's just I love my little world and environment. And I'm a vegetarian and I don't kill animals, and they're my friends. Okay, sometimes when I leave my situation here, my environment, my atmosphere, and I go into other people's homes and I will see that they're using poisons. One thing that could have upset me was I saw they had put out those mouse pellets. They're like blue pellets of poison, and a baby raccoon had gotten into it, and I saw it laying there, and it did upset me. And so I could have let myself get into anger and just judgment and different feelings, but I had to take a higher thought. We have control of how we feel, and anything that takes away my peace or my joy, I can't let that in. I am a child of the King. And so I took a higher thought, and I thought, those poor people, how sad that they live like that. They don't understand. They're probably taught by their parents, by their teachers, by their preachers, that killing's okay. They don't know any better. They're taken from small children. And I always look at people as small children. I look back, if they're a mean adult, I look back at a child and see their sweet innocence and how they were deceived by the dark system, by the evil spirit, and then it makes a love for them. And then I just bless that little creature laying there, and I go on, and I hold that atmosphere, and then I can even speak to them and share my truth, but not being in anger, not being an attribute of the evil spirit, but staying in the higher dimensions to change this world around us. My friends, you do not have to get sick. You do not have to die. You do not have to have a miserable life no matter what's going on in the world. You can create Asha, God's perfect thought and idea in your world today. I want to read out of Asha. I absolutely love this book. I hope you guys have time. I try to not make these too long, but sometimes I just babble on about different things. This book, Asha, I absolutely love it. It's my little orange book of 16 statements and teachings. And there's so much in these words. Sometimes people will get this book and they get back to me and they kind of politely, but it's not what they thought it was going to be. They thought they were going to read it and just start working and speaking magic spells, and all of a sudden they're rich and they got a beautiful person by their side and stuff. But if you can understand the meaning behind these words and what it's saying, it will completely change your life. Every day I wrote this book and I get stuff out of it. I'm always gleaning new things out of it. And what's happening is there's a change going on inside of you. You could get that perfect spouse you're looking for and not be happy until you learn to be happy and at peace when you're alone. Because if you're unhappy when you're alone and when you have someone else, you would still be unhappy. You would make that situation unhappy. You'd be thinking, I could just be happy if this idiot wasn't with me. You see what I'm saying? And now here you're thinking, I could just be happy if I wasn't alone. So I've seen people even get money and things they want, and they think, I could just be happy if I didn't have to, all this responsibility every day of trying to keep up all this stuff. If I could just, and then there's people that don't have, and they're all, I could just be happy if I could just have more stuff. And you have to find that peace inside. And I had to do that for myself just the other day. I was feeling a little discouraged about some things, and I went out for a walk and just started spending time with God and took my eyes off the thing I was thinking about that was trying to take my peace and discourage me, and just walked along nature and went to my favorite stream and threw sticks in it like I like to do, and started doing some of the things I enjoy, and started just being grateful. Started thinking, I'm so grateful I'm free. I'm so grateful for this beautiful day. I'm so grateful that I have Ahura Mazda, the Christ mind. I'm so grateful for the fresh mountain air. I'm so grateful for my dogs that are walking along with me and playing with me and watching them, and I started just being grateful and thankful. And I was so thankful as I even look back at the struggles and trials in my life and where I am now and how it's brought me here. And by the time I got back, I was feeling like I supposed to, my birthright, happy, peace, joy, kind, powerful, free. And it's a change of thought. It's the good mind. In truth, everything is mind. If we can have the right thoughts, the right mind, we'll create the right atmosphere. So this is the 12th statement and teaching from Asha. There is nothing for me outside, meaning nothing outside of ourselves that we have to get. It's not going to be a relationship. It's not going to be some sermon you're going to hear someday. We're not looking for miracles and magic to come from the outside, but it's going to come from inside. That divine spark, that fervacity that God has put inside of us. I have spent too long looking outside myself, looking for meaning, purpose, affirmation, approval, love, truth, happiness, and God, just to find myself ever searching. So I quiet all the many thoughts and ideas and stories, and I go inside, and there I see Jesus, and I realize there's no separation from my good, my God. We are one. All the truth and happiness I was looking for is here now. I am that I am. And now that I know this, it is, good is, God is. This is being restored to your rightful place as a child of God. If it doesn't feel good, it's not God. God and good are the exact same thing. Many religions try to teach that you need to suffer through this life, okay, and that every new level that you try to raise to, that there's going to be just devils attacking you, and struggle and tragedy and trauma. That is not truth. That is not good. That is not God. We walk in these higher realms because we are sons and daughters of the King of good spirit. It is our birthright. You don't have to fight for it. You might just have to shake yourself awake and do something. I remember when I was a kid, it's funny this came to me. I think it's Sally Struthers, might be her name. I might have this off. It's been a long time. But she did this commercial to get money to give money to the starving kids in Africa, and it was so sad with their little extended bellies, and they'd have flies walking on their eyes and crying, and she would ask you to get money. And I remember one time thinking, I need to go ask my mom for a credit card and give some money to that, because my heart was moved. But then the commercial ended and my program came back on, and then I thought to myself, well, I'll do it after my program, because I was really into it, you know. And then afterwards I never did it. And I think that's where we get ourselves into. We're kind of asleep, kind of numb. We're not waking ourselves. We're not shaking ourselves awake to make things happen in our lives, to receive what's ours, to hold our peace. And that's what I'm going to ask you today. I always ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you today to not let anything take you out of your birthright, out of your peace, out of your unconditional love, out of your joy. No matter the situation around you, take the highest thought. Live in God, live in your good. God is all good, number 1. 2, come into alignment with the all good God. 3, create Asha in your world. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.